It's an optical illusion.
Yeah. Well, good evening, everybody. We are live. And Joe and I are doing a joint show. So, Joe, do you want to introduce yourself? I know everyone in your group knows who you are.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but yeah, my name is Joe DeChara. I am a CPA, and my specialty is making things simple.
Well, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Is that like hitting the easy button? That was easy. Remember the easy button?
Yeah. Well, that's a fallacy. Nothing's easy. And you know that, Susan. And that's why I asked you. I was like, this is great. I love your lives, what you're doing, the topics. I think because you talk about stuff that a lot of people don't want to talk about. and that's what I do.
Yeah.
And, I'm not going to apologize. I told the client today that, brand new business owner, right? It's going to take you at least 3 years to get your business going. It's not going to happen in three, and I think that
I would agree with that. I think that time frame is accurate from what I've seen.
So I think that, you and I both have unique types of experience.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I've been on the inside of thousands of businesses, and it sounds like you've been on the inside from a different perspective. I'm an accountant. So I was always, tax problems. And that's what my whole career, when I look back on it, it was like, I just solved tax problems. People came to me when they had a problem, and so I tried to pivot a couple of years ago. I said, I want to get people before they have the problems.
Yeah, proactive.
Yep. And so I'm interested in learning more about your experience because you're on so my thing is getting people on track. You've seen businesses grow.
And fail.
Fail, so for me, I'm like, once these businesses get to a certain level, like when they're stable and they could start hiring people, that's out of my comfort zone. I mean, I can do the accounting and stuff, but I'm not and I came to this realization because I'm like, if I was such an expert at growing a business, I would have a big business. So,
well, I think there's a lot going on in what you've already said. I mean, when people talk about scalable businesses, right, that can look a lot of different ways. One, based on whatever the entrepreneur's wishes are, right? They may have a different idea of scaling up than, the traditional view of having, 100 employees and, potentially, in the future being a part of some M&A activity. You can scale up while you're still very lean, depending on your industry, right, and what your niche is.
Right.
Going back to the thing that you started with, this whole idea of being proactive and getting businesses stable before they go and do these hiring activities and those, the bigger, let's get to the next level. I really struggle with this because, I've seen what happens when they're not ready. I've seen what happens when they don't prepare. And, I spent most of my career as a financial controller, right? So I'm on the corporate side of the accounting and the compliance, went into operations. So then I was HR and culture development. And so, and executive leadership, right? And so I was privy to everything going on in these companies. And most of the time, companies hired me to fix it, to fix what they had already, what they had already maybe gone the wrong way with, or didn't have the proactive approach to preparing for that level of growth. And everything from cash flow issues to culture issues, turnover of employees, departments not working well together. And, the hardest thing for me, sorry, I will wrap it up. I don't want to talk too much, but, the hardest thing for me now and what I do now for businesses is helping them understand, because they don't know what they don't know, right? I know I know what they're headed for. I know why they need to do this foundation work, the same type of foundation work that you do. They don't. And so it's very difficult for them to see the value in the investment in building the strong foundation first. And that's not even their fault. They just don't know what they don't know yet, right? So I think it falls upon people like you and I to help them see. and it's a tough road. We have a lot of, narratives to put out there to help these small businesses understand that you can wing it for quite a while and be okay. But ultimately, if you want to grow, you have to stop that and become proactive. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah. No, I get it. It's hard to convey, bad news to people.
Yeah.
And I told this woman today, and I said, I'm not going to apologize for not telling you what you want to hear.
Yeah.
Because what she wanted to hear was the magic formula, like, how do I get clients now?
Yep.
And I'm like, if I knew that, I'd be getting, it takes time. It takes work.
Yeah.
Like
I see you watching. Say hello, drop us a comment, ask a question. We are here. We would love to hear from you. Sorry, Joe.
That's okay. What I'm fascinated with is your, I saw your thing yesterday on trademarks, and those are important. And
at a certain stage, yeah.
Well, and the thing is, I'm like, it's important. It costs a lot of money. Okay. It's an investment. And for the people that I deal with, I'm like, I'm dealing with people that are like, literally, they could be on unemployment. They could be living from week to week, and they're just starting their business. They don't have a couple of grand.
Got it. Well, in that situation, they're probably not at the stage where they really need to be investing money in the trademark. Hi, Elizabeth. How are you?
But they need to be aware of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, so I brought that up, not to, because I don't know anything about trademarks. I know that I don't have one. I probably should. So your whole thing was about trademarking your 5, what is it called now?
My 5 missing pieces.
Okay. So and I told you, I said, if you would have showed me that picture when I was driving my ice cream truck, I might have rethought being an entrepreneur.
Interesting. Why?
Because I didn't know. I thought, I leased an ice cream truck. I sold ice cream. It was fun.
I did it.
I made a profit, and I thought it was easy. You're talking about executive leadership, HR, and I'm like, I just want to make money. I don't want to learn about this stuff.
Yeah, I had a weird path with my career. I grew up really poor, dirt poor, terribly poor. And, I didn't take the path that most of my people my age were. They were all going off to college, and I had to work and, stay near my mom. I had things going on. My father had passed away while I was in high school, right? So I didn't fully get to embrace that path of like the college route first and then the career. So what happened is I ended up with lots of hands-on small business experience from the get-go. And so I had to teach myself. And I was fortunate, I decided that I was pretty good at bookkeeping and accounting. And I'm like, I think I'm going to stick with this and just see what I can build. And before I knew it, I was at controller level without a degree. But it's because I also had really wonderful mentors, CFOs that taught me. And they taught me the mechanics of GAAP and the mechanics of, general ledger and all that stuff. And so then when I was like 27, I finally went back to school. But I went to Portland State, at that older age. I hadn't had a math class since I was 17? So it was really rough competing with all these youngsters. And I owned my own home. I had a car payment. I had responsibilities. So going to school later was really tough. But I decided to do both full time because I didn't want my work experience to lag. So by the time I got my piece of paper, I was able to go into a role where I was assistant controller for the Red Cross. So, I mean, I had like
Wow.
climbed my way up. And by this point, I had like lots of experience. And so then I was able, and I really enjoy small businesses. I've tried a few big ones. It's just not fun because I like to see everything that's going on, right?
Yeah.
But what's cool about it is I've seen a lot. You know, I'm almost 45, but I mean, I've worked at so many different types of companies and lots of different entrepreneurial types of people that had multiple businesses too. So one job for me, we had 14 companies that I was helping with, right? Anyway, so I have seen a lot on like the operations and, business accounting, compliance.
Yeah. So this is great.
I just told you my whole life story.
I think you probably left a few things out.
Oh, maybe.
But you're only 45. I mean, I'm 60. But what I thought that we could talk about, which might be it'll be interesting for me, because I've seen some real smart people do very stupid things.
Yes.
And get themselves into a ton of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was wondering, I know that you've seen your share. So would you want to share one of those stories with me?
The top, well, I don't have it necessarily. I'll have a couple stories, of course, but my top one is cash flow management. You can overcome a lot of mistakes if you're focusing on cash flow, projecting it out, and you know exactly what's going to happen cash flow wise with your business. So I think that's the single biggest piece of advice I would give. If you do not have the capacity to learn accounting overall and all of these other things overall, understand your cash flow, period. Right. Yeah. And then my second thing is, have a clear sense of identity for your business. And that's my first missing piece of the 5 missing pieces.
Yeah, I'm looking for more like real life stories. Right. Like,
I'll tell you.
Like you're like, oh my God, are you kidding me?
I'll tell you what. So I won't say the name of the company, but in one of my last roles, I was hired as controller. They had about 25 employees. They were an environmental electronics company, and they had been relying on their line of credit, was almost maxed for years. So think about the interest that they're paying. All that time carrying that, right?
Yeah.
And they had controllers before, but those controllers weren't like managing more than just reporting the numbers as they happened after the fact, right? They didn't have someone who was looking at all of the operations, from the sales process to the shipping to, invoicing and, managing that accounts receivable and watching your margins, making sure there's gross profit that's going to work, and terms. The terms with your vendors and terms with your customers is all how you manage the timing of cash going in and cash going out. So within the first 6 months, by addressing like all levels, right? We addressed the margins. We addressed operations being leaner. We addressed overspending in certain areas. And by addressing it on all these different levels, I had them completely weaned off the line of credit within 6 months. And they never touched it again in the 4 years I worked with them. We didn't have to. We were completely self-sufficient. So that alone saved probably 30 or 40 grand a year in interest.
Okay.
And that can go back into, more padding cash flow wise, investing in the growth of the business.
Yeah, that's a happy ending story.
Oh,
I got some
I have negative stories too.
And the reason why I want to bring this out is, people just getting into business, or people that have, maybe been in business for a couple of years and they're starting to realize that this ain't as easy as I thought it was.
Yeah.
I'm going through my history, and I'll give you this because this guy, Lester, is like off the charts intelligent, very successful, right? comes to me. He's got a construction business. It's with the, a union business.
Okay.
So they only did, union work in New York City. So I did what I always do. I look at the last couple of years of tax returns, and there's no state return. Now he lives in New Jersey, and the business is done in New York. So he said, well, where's the state? He said, we never did a state return.
Oh God.
I go online. He wasn't even incorporated. They dissolved him like 10 years earlier. Because when you don't file a state return, if you're not, they're going to just say, oh, they're done.
Yep.
So this guy had millions of dollars in assets, doing big construction jobs, and had no legal protection. Wow,
that's crazy.
And I told him, he was like, really? That's interesting. And I'm thinking, like, who is this guy doing your returns?
Right.
How,
right.
So.
Well, and I think that's a whole other issue. Maybe we just are having a weekly show where we talk about all this stuff. That's another issue. Not having partners and vendors in your business that are handling your business as if it was their own. Like not looking out for you. I keep seeing it with business coaches, with CPA firms, with, all of these different things. It's terrible.
Is that more like a mindset thing, though?
I'm not sure.
So, and that's another thing. If they told me, oh, you got to learn about mindset, and I was like, I would have just got a job. I think. No, seriously. I was like,
that's funny.
I might just still be driving my ice cream truck. But.
Yeah. Well, and I think the problems that you're talking of, that example, is really common in trade industry, like construction and contracting and all that stuff. I took on a small business years ago. I did, I kind of like threw together a consulting business when my mom had breast cancer because I needed a way to make some money while I was taking care of her, right? And I took on this small business client who had not been paying their payroll taxes.
Oh, God.
So just to lay this all out for you guys, they got into a cash flow crunch. They would write checks to their employees to keep the employees happy, right? You got to, because you need them to work.
This is a big one.
Yeah, you need them to work. So they stopped submitting all of the withholdings they were supposed to be taking to all of the agencies, unemployment and, state and federal and all that stuff. And they were using that cash to survive. For years.
that they do it with sales tax too. That's what causes.
Yep, sales tax too. I've seen that. Yep.
So how long did it take? How long did it take them for it to catch up with them? With the
well, when they hired me, I told them, don't let it catch up to you. Let's be proactive and reach out to them and apologize and say, oh my God, we are so sorry. Some of it was ignorance and some of it we messed up. Okay. And so this was my recommendation. I'm like, I will help you through every step of it and we will reconcile everything. We'll get it all cleaned up. And I'll also negotiate for you to get some of these penalties relieved. And this is what I found. You guys need to stop being so scared to fix your compliance issues. Because tell you what, these agencies want to work with you because they want to collect that money, right? And so what I found, they were terrified to do this route, but they trusted me. And I acted on their behalf and contacted these agencies and they were floored. They're like, wait, you're reaching out to us proactively to solve this and get us caught up? Are you serious? Like, who are you?
What state was that?
They were in Washington, but they also had activities in Oregon. And so Oregon has state income tax. And
so you're dealing with the federal and
all of it,
state
federal,
Department of Labor
and unemployment. Yep, all of it.
What about their insurance? Like then they let their workers comp. I mean, it's like the domino.
Washington's a little bit different. So, the workers' comp is handled a little bit differently, but yes. But what I found is these agencies were happy to work with us to get it resolved, but it was messy. It took a really long time. We've eventually got settlements on all of it where penalties were fully waived, like 5-10 grand in penalties waived, because we were proactive about solving this. But, by the time we got done, that small business ran into a new cash flow crunch.
Oh God.
So then they were having trouble.
But that's where
they committed.
It's the cash flow. It's the cash flow, right?
It's cash flow. It's all cash flow. And,
so they couldn't make the payments.
They made some. And then when I saw that they were, trying to go back to some of their old habits, it wasn't a fit for me to work with them anymore. So I hope they're doing okay now. But that was like probably 8 years ago. I don't know.
And that's what happens. I drop clients, new clients, and I see it. I'm like, I see it coming. I get a new construction client in California, right? If I told you, and this is what I'm coming across, a lot of bad accountants. Borderline criminal, and to just incompetent. Okay, so this accountant literally told him he didn't have ink at the end of his name, which I'm not a lawyer, but I'm like, I don't think you're even really a corporation. If you ever I'm like, you're not, that's not a legal name. You got to be Inc. or Corp. His accountant told him to leave his accountant incorporated him and left the ink off, right? Because he said this way, when you go and cash checks, they won't know that you're a business.
What? That doesn't even make sense.
No, it doesn't. And this guy is a CPA, right?
Yeah.
That's the first thing. I'm like, okay, we got it. Houston, we have a problem.
Oh my goodness.
He had 5 employees, paying them all cash off the books. So I said, first of all, and this is what people, check cashing is the most regulated industry. If you think they don't know, that info is going right to the freaking IRS. And they're comparing your bank deposits. After 9/11, they got access to that stuff. They said, so your accountant should be arrested. And I tried for months to get him to go legit. Yeah. And they just can't, because they're so used to that way of doing business.
Yeah. Well, and I also have had examples where companies were cash poor, or, struggling for so long that then once we did achieve growth and financial stability, then they wanted to mess with their books so they didn't have as much tax liability. And it's like, if you are if you're playing this entrepreneurial game to reduce taxes, you're going to lose. That is a ridiculous business strategy. Now, should you be looking for ways to reduce your taxes? Yes. But should that be like on the forefront all the time? No. Focus on growing that business. Focus on, being profitable. You do that first. And then partner with a good CPA that's going to help you proactively come up with your tax strategy and be legit and compliant. And everything will be okay. But that happens all the time.
And I don't know what it's just people. It's like they just want to find ways to get away with stuff. And it's like you don't have to. You have a good business here. Yeah. The biggest thing with trucking, was
Hi, Lori.
But in the construction industry, and this is why I stopped taking big construction clients.
Yeah.
They want to play with the workers' comp. Okay, because if you have a rate of like
massive
15%, because the guy's doing, he's on the roof.
Stuff. Yep.
And the guy made $100,000. And so these guys, they're smart enough to know to say, oh no, he worked in the office. So you do that with 10 of his people, and he's saving $150,000.
Yep.
And I'm like, I ain't doing that. Yep. But that's what they.
So I'm really into core values and purpose driving who you are in a company. And one of my core values is, I help conscientious businesses grow, not every business. And conscientious to me means You could be a nonprofit giving back. You may be a for-profit, but you're doing something good, like the environmental company I worked for. And C, you are not wanting to play games, because I've seen it too much. I've seen the pitfalls of it, and I just am not interested in those types of clients, period. So I try my best to weed out businesses. Now, if someone's been like out of compliance for a while and they know it and they're like, oh, let's get that fixed, or sometimes they don't know it until we talk. If they're up to getting it fixed, then I'm fine. Let's get it fixed.
Right.
But as soon as I notice that they're, wanting to go back to their old ways or their old habits or sneaky, I'm done. It's just, especially, and workers' comp is so important. And this goes back to, even employee classification, right? This is a hot topic. And states have different rules, but guess what? There are also federal rules about who's an independent contractor versus who you can consider an employee. And everyone wants to consider, especially in these early stages of a business, they want to consider, oh, that's an independent contractor. So they don't have to pay workers' comp, unemployment, benefits, tax withholdings. And that is just not right, first of all, because those people are giving of themselves to help you grow your business. They're out there putting themselves on the line. They absolutely deserve the protections that are, required by law. So it's not just, hey, this is the right way, so you need to do it compliance-wise so you don't get in trouble. It's the right thing to do.
This has always been an issue.
It has. And different states, as you guys know, are cracking down on this, like especially California right now.
They couldn't enforce it. They couldn't enforce it before.
Yep. But they're enforcing it now, guys. You better watch out.
And
yeah.
I just talked to who was it? A client, and I'm like, oh, working with people in California. I said, I'm thinking about not even like if I need like a web designer.
Yep.
Because I'm afraid California might say that they're an employee. Yeah. That's where we're heading.
I have so much experience in this space.
Oh, do you?
Oh, tons. Yeah. Every company I've worked for, we've had to review all of these relationships and make sure we're in compliance, right?
I think, listen, we could probably do a whole show, just a weekly show on because it's huge.
It is. It really is. And I've seen companies get in trouble for this. It is not, like just some myth that they're cracking down. It's for real. And this is, again, another example of, yes, it's good to do so you're in compliance, but it's also good to do because it's the right thing to do. And this goes back to the culture issue in companies, being proactive, building a strong culture, purpose, and core values based. You take care of your people, they will take care of your business, period. So it doesn't make sense, even from a cash flow perspective or, a profitability perspective to play games with this stuff. If you come into starting your business knowing that you're going to invest in your employees, you're going to make sure you categorize people right so they get the benefits and protections they're supposed to get, they will value that, on top of other things. So Lori Brady, she's been going live in SPOU and a couple of other areas. They do recruiting. She says, if you do things right, you don't have to worry about legal issues. Yeah.
So, you bring up something, and I want to circle back to the culture. Okay.
Yeah.
I think, and this is another thing. When I'm getting into my ice cream truck, I'm not thinking about my corporate culture. It's just something that I had to. Oh my God, I'm actually a corporate. I could be a solopreneur, and I still have to have that culture.
Yep.
So the core values, and this is when I went. You said something about, if your vendors and your clients aren't working with you. So I'm thinking, what I see now, the clients that are coming to me have integrity. They want to do the right thing.
Yeah.
So what's the question I want to ask?
I think I
Like
know.
when you start choosing the people you're going to do business with, including your vendors, your clients, I drop clients that don't have integrity because they're just going to be a problem.
Yep.
Is that what you recommend?
Well, absolutely. So let's talk about core values just in and of themselves. And, touch on what you said. You can be a one person business and still have a culture that you drive in your business. And the culture is the look and feel of the organization and the conscience of the organization. It's what you believe in, what you stand for, how you do business, how you interact with others. You can start building a culture from day one if you do some work figuring out what is important to you, your purpose and your core values. Okay. Now, that being said, core values for a lot of businesses are just words. There's some marketing tool. They're slapping them up on their website. Here are our core values, but they don't live by them. They don't breathe them. They aren't stewards of them. That's bullshit.
Right.
That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about core values that are actually the backbone of your business. Core values that say, this is how we do business. This is who we are. This is what we believe in. So if you have, excuse me, I forgot to bring a glass of water in here with me.
You could have mine.
That's not going to work. Thank you, Lori. And Elizabeth had some comments too, going back to the 1099 issue, independent contractor. So if you're even just in these early stages or a solo entrepreneur, you can totally come up with core values that mean something to you, and that you make sure everyone else knows. And I go over mine, in beginning stages of evaluating clients that I'm going to take on. Like I said, my I have like 4 core values, and that one, I only work with conscientious businesses, is absolutely true. And there are times where I will misjudge a client. It happened recently. And, you get partway down the path with them and you realize we're not aligned. We're not aligned.
Yeah, it happens.
And I know what I'm doing, and I'm still messing up in this area, right? From time to time, I want to give someone the benefit of the doubt, right? Or, maybe I just didn't have all the, I didn't ask all the questions I should have asked.
Or maybe you did everything perfect and it just that you had to find out.
No, I can always point back to something I missed.
Oh, yeah? Okay. Don't beat yourself up so much.
Oh, well, I think acknowledging mistakes so you can be better later is okay. Yeah. And that's not really beating myself up. It's just acknowledging, yeah, I messed that one up,
I shouldn't have taken that construction client. I told my coach, I said, this guy is going to be high maintenance and it ain't going to work out.
Yep.
But I said, he was a referral from a friend.
Yeah. It happens.
So, I just want to mention one thing before you. I just did my core values. You see
awesome.
This? And this is something that my coach had me do. And I was like, this is powerful.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed the process.
And it didn't cost me it didn't cost me a penny.
Yep.
I'm like, this is what. So that's part of my story. I'm still learning.
Well, I have an e-workbook on core values and purpose, actually, if people are interested. It's only $15, but I even have a coupon code if anyone's interested. But I am a strong believer in having a clear sense of purpose for your company and strong core values, to the point that I even have tips on how you can implement this company-wide in all aspects of your business, regardless of what size or stage you're in. So, for instance, I redid everyone's job descriptions to include the core values. And their very first thing on there is to act and be a steward of the core values of the company at all times. We ingrain it into everything. The recruiting process, onboarding the employees, When we give them the tour, talking about the core values, asking them, hey, which of our core values speaks to you the most? There are all these things that you can do, even including it in vendor contracts, vendor conversations, with your customers, all of these things. It's important to reinforce them so they don't just go stale. So they're not just words on your website. So they're not just words on some sign, right?
I
So
agree.
there are things that you can do to end up letting these core values become a value add to your business, where they will actually go to work for you. All you have to do is be a steward of the core values on a daily basis, live and breathe them.
And it makes it simple. Like I said in the beginning, I'm Mr. Simple.
Yeah. Well,
and
when you get stuck making a business decision, this is what I love about, this is what I love about having a very clear purpose and core values. Let's say you're making a decision about a new offering, a new product that you can make. You're like, oh, I can make this product, or I can offer this service. That would be cool. Let's just go for it. That'd be more revenue, right? Stop it, tap the brakes, go review your purpose. Does that new offering fit within your purpose? Because if not, you have a mismatch already. So you need to dig into that a little bit more, determine if this is really a fit. And it's either that your purpose may need to be reevaluated, or that offering is just not a fit. And so that's your first warning that you're about to make a business mistake. And then number 2, you review it to your core values. If I add this offering, if I add this employee, if I add this vendor, if I add this process, whatever it is it aligned with our core values? Go through each one of your core values. Does it? If it doesn't, tap the brakes, because that means there's a mismatch somewhere and you're going to run into trouble.
Yeah. And if you're not following it, it's just a worthless piece of paper.
Yep.
So
I'm used to seeing the worthless pieces of paper, and it drives me crazy. And so that's why one of the first things I do is I start engaging with all the employees and have them be a part of the process of building, refreshed core values. It's one of the first things I do.
This was another thing that I guess was the missing piece so I started talking to, what do they call them now? Neuroscientist. This one, Stacy Danforth, she's like brilliant. She talks all about like how your brain works and the chemistry. And now I find out that when you, like, let's say you hire or you bring that thing that's not in alignment.
Thank you, Lori, for your comment. You're right. Is it serve your clients? If not, then don't do it. Yes. And so if you have, sorry, Joe. So if you have your purpose and your core values, client or customer centric, they should resolve that question where you don't have this extra question to ask. Your purpose and your core values should incorporate that. Does it serve your clients? If not, don't do it. Yes. Very good. Thank you. Sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
Anyway, so Stacy, what they're telling me is that causes all kinds of like stress in our brains, because we're actually, and it's subconscious.
Yeah.
So it's like you're bringing this person in that's not in alignment with your core values, and it's causing like commotion in your brain.
Yep.
So I'm like, oh, great. So
it's cognitive dissonance.
I just want to sell ice cream. Come on. And the course. So yesterday I actually had an incident where we had to make a decision. I don't even want to, say exactly what it was, but it was like, what do I do? And I looked at my core values, and it was, trust and transparency. And It was somebody that was like not being totally honest. So I said that I got a bad feeling in my gut.
Yep.
It was easy.
Yeah. Good. Well, that's so cool. I didn't realize you were doing some of that work recently. That's great.
Well, I'm just like, I just try to be like a beginner and learn. And listen, I'm paying my coach a lot of freaking money. So when he tells me to do something, I'm doing it. And
exactly.
So it's pretty simple. So listen, this has been great. I hope that we can do it again.
Yeah, I can't wait to debrief with you, and maybe we can talk about having this be a regular thing, a regular date, Joe and Sue's.
Yeah, who knows? I like that. What did you say? You have maybe I can have you in my mastermind doing something on the core values.
Yeah, but I'm in Tokyo and that time slot it's just not going to
Uh,
work for me.
what about Tuesdays at 12? We do Tuesdays at 12 now.
I maybe would be willing to stay up till 1 a.m. to do it.
Okay.
2 a.m. It would be
Okay.
2 a.m. probably. Anyway, we can talk about it.
we could figure something out, but I like
Yeah.
the whole concept, and I think
I wanted to be a part of your mastermind, and I wouldn't mind doing, 1 or 2 here and there. I just know I can't commit every week because sometimes I'm already up. Like last night, I was up until 3 or 4. But I don't plan on that generally. I try not to plan on it because it wrecks my whole week when I do that too much.
I know. We have Dr. Flo. She wasn't there last week, but she was in I was like, oh my gosh, she must really want this.
Yeah,
I understand.
Tokyo too. We got to connect.
We'll figure something out. So, anyway.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me to do a joint live. It's been really fun.
Yes.
And we had no agenda coming into it, you guys. We didn't do any prep. So I hope that you all got some value out of this. And just as a reminder, in the post, you can book a call with Joe using the link in the post. You can book a call with me using the other link in the post. And I might as well use a second. I am actually putting on my very first Skyrocket Business 101 course. It's going to be live week-long workshop. And the link to that is in the post also. And with this, you get a whole hour advisory session with me. And that way you're going to get the most out of it. And I'm going to be scholarshiping one student. One lucky student will find out the day of the kickoff if they got a scholarship for their live course. And I'm capping it at 10. So no more than 10 students. So it'll be a nice, cozy community that we can work in. So if you're interested in that, check it out. The link's in the post. Do you have anything that you want to add, Joe?
No, I just, like to invite people to my mastermind. It's still free. It's all you got to do is go to Mastermind with Joe DeChara. We meet Saturdays at 2 and Tuesdays at 12 now.
Okay.
That's Eastern Standard Time.
Well, be sure to add that link to the comment.
Okay.
And I have it somewhere, but maybe we edit the post too, so then it's in there. So you guys, also Joe has this great Facebook group, Bedrock. Oh my goodness, what's my problem?
Bedrock Business Builders.
Yes, Bedrock Business Builders. So join his Facebook group. I have a group, Skyrocket Your Biz. You can join both of these communities. It's all good stuff, and we care about helping small businesses grow. And yeah. All right, you guys, thank you so much for being with us and for your comments and feedback. And thanks again, Joe.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.